set this down actually so it doesn't interrupt us.
Welcome to this episode of Colorado Films, the podcast. Today I am here with Justin Hunt. He's an award-winning filmmaker, founder of White Whale Productions, and an internationally recognized director whose documentaries have screened worldwide and earned more than 30 film festival awards, with films like American Meth, Addicted to Porn, Chasing the Cardboard Butterfly. Hunt has built a career examining difficult social issues through deeply human storytelling. His latest film, Rotten Apples, which screened at Scorpius Fest yesterday, takes a hard look at grooming and sexual abuse within schools, combining documentary investigation with narrative storytelling to confront a topic many communities struggle to openly discuss. Justin, thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for the invite. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and so you're here at Scorpius Fest with us, and your film Rotten Apple premiered yesterday. Tell me about that, because that's a very powerful film talking about sexual assault, grooming in schools, and how did you tackle a project that personal and keep the message in the scenes and in the movie?
Well, yeah, so that one kind of came to us in a different way than my other films. That was actually, it started out as a work for hire to do like 15-minute educational videos. But as I started researching it and kind of going into pre-production, it presented itself to be a much larger project. And what I told the client is that you want to show this to 30 people at a time in a classroom. I think we can make it where we can show it to 30 million people at a time. So it turned into this entirely different monster. And to me, what I wanted to do was really take people to the precipice of how ugly this was without being egregious. And to do that, I felt like we needed to have a narrative thread to reflect the information that you're getting. So when a lot of films call themselves docu-dramas, but they're just a lot of reenactments. This is, I think, a true docudrama in the sense that it has a narrative thread that mirrors the information. So you learn something, then you get another piece of the story, and I felt like that would be the most effective way to really push how serious and how ugly the issue is.
Yeah, and I think both sides reflected each other well, because there were, just the looking at the brutal reality of it, and then that's so impactful. But then, seeing what happens to the daughter at the end and the child at the end is,
Yeah, and I think that needed to be done in a sense that these things don't have happy endings. I'm not even going to say rarely; they just don't. Yeah. Some are more extreme than others, but I felt like to really punch the point home, that needed to be done to show I almost reverse engineered it, Corey, to where it's like this is what can happen if you don't say something, if you don't report something, if you stay quiet. This is what can happen, and try to get people to walk out thinking like, if a situation presents itself, they're going to remember that and say, if I don't say something, this could potentially happen, and I don't want that to happen. And I think that's in terms of educating people, what is educating? It's giving them information and they retain it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I hope the film does, is not only inform people, but then they retain it. Therefore, they're educated. Yeah.
And I think it does a great job of doing that. How did you protect yourself emotionally and your crew emotionally dealing with this, or what did you put in place? Because I watched it once and I was like, okay, I'm not going to forget that. I'm going to remember it. So I didn't have to deal with it day in and day out, which is, tough in a lot of situations.
No, I appreciate that question, and the answer is relatively harsh, which is, I spent 10 years with NBC, covering a lot of ugly things, and then I did a documentary about meth addiction, and I lived with meth addicts. I did a documentary about, absent fathers. I did a documentary about porn addiction, and so the ugly truth of it is I've pretty much become desensitized to the things that happen in the world. not naive to them or blind to them, but just desensitized to where they don't. I won't say they don't affect me at all, because as you can ask my wife and my family, like this was tough. You know, interviewing a 17-year-old girl who was raped when she was 11 by a teacher, that it just sticks with you. But I think, you know, I would have had a hard time if this was my first film dealing with that. But you just, I guess, battle scarred is the best way to put it, tempered. And so you just try to kind of compartmentalize on, you know, this is the job I'm doing right now. But yeah, it still soaks in to a degree.
But you have to go into that darkness to bring back these truths.
Well, and as a parent too, you know, I have kids that, they're not really kids anymore, they're in their 20s, but you know, I'm able to kind of reflect on when they were that age. You know, what would my mindset have been if this had happened to my daughter or my son when they were a teenager? And you know, that'll fire you up to stay focused and do a good job on a project like this, for sure.
It will. What did you cover for NBC?
I was a news director and a news anchor and a reporter. So you know, everything from, you know, happy stuff to multiple deaths and car accidents and disasters and stuff like that. So yeah, everything. And I think you see enough of that in a 10-year span. You know, I mean, I've seen. I couldn't tell you hundreds of dead bodies in their natural environment, which is, you know, that'll get to you, and I think it just kind of chips away at you to where you reach a point where it just doesn't affect you as much. So, which it's not always a good thing, but it's helpful when we're working on something like Rotten Apple.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, thank you for doing this.
Yeah.
So tell me about White Whale Productions. I mean, yesterday you dressed up and you kind of looked like an Ahab. Not too much. This kind of gives that style of the Captain Ahab, but tell us about how that got started, the name.
Yeah, so it's White Whale Pictures, actually.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. We were at Time and Tide Productions for 16 or 17 years.
Okay.
You know, and then I was in Colorado Springs. I think around 2018. I just felt like we needed to refresh things before we became stagnant, and so I thought White Whale Pictures was a great title, a great alliteration. It has some unique connotations. You know, we're chasing that white whale, that big project, and so, you know, I just decided to kind of shake it up a little bit, and yeah, man, I just been really blessed. We've been in business for 24 years now. And then, you know, as far as the wardrobe is concerned, you kind of look at it like Metallica, maybe, right? Like every time you see them on stage, it's black.
Yeah.
And that's my work uniform. That's how I dress professionally, and it's kind of my style. I've gotten to be known for it, and you know.
Well, I dig it. So.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, and I think the contrast kind of throws people off, because, you know, I've got this tie and waistcoat and shit, and then I've got my tattoos and stuff, so that people don't quite know how to process, like, what is that dude, you know? So, which is kind of fun.
Yeah,
you know, got to keep people on their toes. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's your favorite tattoo?
Oh man. Well, I should have taken my jacket off, but I've got one on this side that is it's a stained glass tattoo based on a painting in the Louvre in Paris, and which is where I got the tattoo, was in Paris.
Oh, nice.
Or just outside of Paris. And then I've got one on this arm from a guy named Mashkow in New York.
Okay.
And he takes, like, you know, pop culture figures, but then does them in a graffiti style.
Okay.
So it's Johnny Cash in a kind of a graffiti style, and those are probably my two favorites.
Nice.
And then, you know, I got some of my kids' initials and stuff like that. So you got to have those.
Gotta have those.
Ivy keeps trying to convince me to get, you know, her face on my chest or something like that. I mean, you can see why. Yeah.
You could do the Conor McGregor on the belly.
Or I could do Steve-O and just over my entire back. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, because she's always on my back anyways. I love you, babe. All right.
That's so cool. Yeah, I have some friends that right now he did a documentary about a bunch of tattoo artists in Denver, and now he's out in doing a film about the freak show in Coney Island, the sword swallowing woman.
Oh, yeah.
There. Yeah, so that's why I was wondering. And then when you said those two, like I got this, it's a old Catholic boy kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
But down here I wanted to get like kind of not like stained glass red,
Right.
and then up here more flowy, like
Yeah.
cloudy, just the complete sleeve kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I think I'm gonna be getting a new one. Well, today's March 1st, right? So next month I'm gonna be getting a new one with my daughter,
Okay.
who's turning 23, and I think we're gonna do the. You ever seen Nacho Libre?
Yeah.
We're gonna do the X's and O's, hug, keys, little keys, big keys. Yeah, the X's and O's. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Oh, that'll be fun. And,
Yeah.
you know, it'll be a quick, easy one. Too,
Yeah.
Just the black.
It's hard to mess up lines, but
Yeah. But
there are people that can. Yeah.
Your fingers, I think you go to good people. Though. I
Yeah,
think
we
you-
go to pretty good people. So.
Nice. So, what advice would you give to filmmakers starting out, or anybody in the film industry starting out right now?
Well, I mean that's a tough one. I've got good advice and I've got realistic advice. The positive advice is that you can. It's like jumping off of a cliff, right? Like cliff diving. Like the longer you stand on the edge, the more scared you're going to become, and the less likely you are to do it. If you want to make a film, make a film. I made my first 4 films. One of which is, I think, still rated amongst the most watched documentaries ever on Hulu. It was just me and a camera. I didn't own a light. I didn't have a sound guy. I mean, literally just me. And my point being is that if you want to make it, just grab a camera and start making it. And you will make mistakes, and you will fail miserably. But you will learn so that the next one you're ready to go. You can at least apply what you've learned in those lessons, and then build a team around you that you trust and that you treat properly. We did a podcast yesterday, and I think the one word I would give, if I could only give one word of advice to anyone, it's authenticity. Be authentic with people. Don't bullshit them. Don't try to scam them. Don't power trip because you're a director or you're a producer. You're all in it together, and when you create amongst your crew a sense of ownership for a project, like we're all in this together, people will work hard for you and with you, as long as you lead by example and you treat them with respect. And so, just treat people well and go do it. Make mistakes and then get up and do it again. On the other side is it's a tricky business, and you just always have to be aware and cognizant of who you're dealing with, and people will ingratiate themselves to you if they feel like you've got something that they can benefit from. So just do your due diligence, do your research, be okay with saying no to people or no to opportunities if it doesn't support the integrity of your vision. We're entering a landscape now where, and this is something I'm going to talk about in my panel later this morning, is we're entering a landscape now where as filmmakers we have much more control over where our film gets seen and by who. And so that's a great thing. You don't need sales agents and distributors like you thought you did. And so, it's exciting, but just always be aware, and if it ever feels like it goes against the grain of what you want for your art, you don't have to do it.
It's your art. Like
Yeah.
you said.
Yeah.
Speaking of making mistakes, just let me check.
Okay.
All right.
We're good?
I did not. I didn't pretend to think I'd press the button.
No, if you did, we'd do it all over again anyways. I'm
But
good with
like,
that.
I like the natural flow of
Yeah.
talking about tattoos because, we started very, very serious,
Yeah.
and that can't last the whole thing.
Yeah.
People are, but so, what's the most unique project that you've come across that you've had to turn down because it didn't fit with your art, it didn't fit with scheduling, it doesn't have to be specifically.
The thing about that is, all the projects except for Rotten Apple, all the projects that I've done were mine to begin with.
Okay.
So I don't really have, I shouldn't say I don't have projects come to me because I get emails from people all the time, or messages like, you should do a documentary about what happened to my dog at the grocery store, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know that that's really a marketable film, or you know, I doubt you have the money it takes to do that. I think sometimes people on the outside don't realize it takes money to make movies, you know. Yeah, I don't really have things come to me that I have to turn down, but I have had people come to me and want to do things that, you know, and it's hard when it's a very personal story, because people come to me with very personal stuff and ask if I can help them out, and you know, I always respond to them, but I have to very gently let them down, and you know, like it's not going to work. You know, I hate that happened to you, or I hate that you're dealing with that, but there's not much I can do. So that happens a lot, and I hate that, because I don't like having to tell people that. But yeah, it's all, you know, I've got so many weird ideas in my head for stories and screenplays and television shows, many of which I've already written, you know, and then I kind of had decided to step away from the documentary thing until this came along, and the Rotten Apple came along, and it was just too enticing to turn down. But you never know, you know, never put yourself past the point of surprise, is what I say, because you never know. Yeah.
And so you're a pretty big golfer.
Yeah.
Here. So what's the best course? What's your favorite course to play?
So I play at a course called Canyon Club.
Okay.
It's a private course in Albuquerque, and it's tough, man. It's a tough course. But I mean, I love playing golf, and I love being out on a beautiful course. You know, there are far more beautiful courses than there are not.
Yeah.
And even the ones that aren't were, and they just kind of have stopped being taken care of, which is sad to see, you know what I mean? But I've been really lucky in some of the places I've gotten to play. Like I played St. Andrews,
nice.
which is gorgeous. Funny thing about St. Andrews is St. Andrews opened in 1552, right? Okay. It's called the Old Course.
Okay.
And then they have the new course that opened in 1881. And my thought was, it took you guys 331 years to get tired of playing this course. Like, wow, that's crazy. But played a lot of courses in Scotland, and have been able to play a lot of neat courses around the U.S. Went down to Mexico and played, and then we're going to Kohler, Wisconsin.
Oh, okay.
Which you probably would ask why you're going to Kohler, Wisconsin to play golf, but that's the home of like Whistling Straits and some places where they've played majors.
Yeah.
To celebrate my 50th birthday this year.
Oh, happy birthday!
Yeah,
that'll be fun.
So in the fall we're going to go up there and play Kohler, and I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I play like 3 or 4 times a week, especially in the summertime.
Okay.
And I just, if I didn't have that, man, if I didn't have that outlet, I don't really know what I would do. I'd probably go stir crazy. Well, she saw I had a bit of an accident in was that September? In September, and I had to take 5 months off, which was torture. Yeah.
From jiu-jitsu, whenever I have to do it, you get itchy.
It was rough, and it was funny because I was so busy with Rotten Apple that I kind of wasn't paying that much attention, and then it dawned on me, like, why am I so tense, and why am I so irritable when it comes to certain things? And I really do believe it's because I wasn't getting that time out with the guys that I play with, getting the sun, getting, you know, the blue sky and the green grass, and you know, and so I hated having to take that time off, but it was not my choice. I just had to.
And you're better now?
I'm getting there. It was pretty nasty.
Yeah. PT has to.
Yeah.
Do you know Brandon Nottingham and Truce Media? Mm-hmm. He's out. He's part of the Colorado Film and Media Association, and he does Truce Media, and they go around and they do golf, like they do live action golf.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's cool.
And I was talking with him last week. He's like, "Oh yeah, I gotta go to Puerto Rico during the Super Bowl to film golf." I'm like, "Oh,
it's a bummer."
Yeah,
poor guy.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
So Scorpius Fest, tell us how you got involved with them.
Yeah, I mean, we had a budget to throw Rotten Apple into some festivals, and we started, and what surprised me is we got over 900 invites from festivals to screen film.
Don't doubt that.
Yeah, and which that blew my mind. I'd never had that kind of response to a film before, and I honestly can't remember if Scorpius Fest was one of those or not. But you know, try to look at the proximity of Albuquerque and if we get into this festival, where's one that we'd like to go to. And you know, Ivy's been here about 9 months now in the U.S. and you know, I knew she'd love Boulder. It'd be a fun road trip. I got some family that lives in the area, and so we submitted to Scorpius Fest, and man, what a good group of guys.
Yeah.
Well, and girls. I've dealt with Tyson mostly,
Yeah.
and Brittany, I believe, and it's just been a wonderful experience. And then watching the film last night, you know, what a neat story.
Yeah.
And those guys, you know, what a huge heart both of those guys have, and everyone that was involved in that. And it struck me last night what an honor it was for me, because you know, Scorpius Fest kind of died in 25, and they revived it, and you know, we will perpetually be the very first film that they ever showed, and that's an honor for us. But they've done such a great job of communicating and treating people right, and you know, doing things professionally, which is not always the case with film festivals, because you know, I think the info you had it's a little outdated, because we've actually won over 75 festivals now, and I think we've gotten into over 120. And you don't see that kind of professionalism all the time. And you know, the big thing for me and for filmmakers, you know, the big sigh of relief came when the movie started yesterday, and the picture and the sound are great. You don't always get that. And you know, like Rotten Apple has this beautiful 5.1 mix, and we've actually won a couple of awards for the sound design. And so to see that and hear that the way it's supposed to be for the audience, another check mark on what a great job these guys are doing here. And so absolutely worth the drive up, and we're excited for tonight and the opportunities we've had, you know, the Q&A and doing this with you, and we did another one yesterday, and I'm doing a panel today, so it's been a great experience so far.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you're originally from Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about your experience here. What do you think of the film industry in Colorado? You know, what brought you, you know, we talked a little about what brought you away from the Springs. And...
I was born in Grand Junction. My parents were both in horse racing, which back in '76 was a big thing in Colorado. And they were eventually both inducted into the Rocky Mountain Quarter Horse Hall of Fame. So I spent a lot of time in Colorado as a kid, and then we moved down to New Mexico and graduated high school there. But then after 3 years after graduating, I got the bug. I missed playing football, so I walked on to Mesa State and played ball there.
Nice.
Played football there, which was great, and then moved around a little bit after I graduated because I was working for the news, and then came back up to Colorado Springs in 2013. I was tired. I was in Phoenix. I was tired of Phoenix. It's too hot, you know. And spent 5 years in Springs. Absolutely loved it. So, you know, I have a lot of ties to Colorado. I'm not necessarily tapped into what's going on in the film community up here. But you know, I hear rumblings now and then, and I've got some actors we use that are from here, and from what I understand, it's getting stronger and stronger, and which is great. And what, you know, guys like you are doing is great. And you know, I can see being neighbors that you know, will probably cross paths and involve more people from Colorado as time goes on. So yeah, I think it's great, man, and you know, it's a beautiful state. Love this state. It's nice. It's too cold for the golf game from time to time. Yeah.
Not this winter. It's been too cold. It's
No,
been
it's
too
crazy.
warm for the ski game.
Like
which
70 yesterday.
Yeah. It's insane.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna go and we're gonna watch your panel here shortly.
Okay.
Is there anything before we wrap up that you want to plug, or you know, some film here you've seen that you like? Oh, I like this one.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of really neat films while we were here. You know, Spectacular by Comparison was a really neat film, a feel-good movie. I can't remember the name of the block that we watched, but it was the one right before that, and there was a couple of films in there that were really well done. So those were great, and I guess the only thing I would really plug is we and this is a big part of the panel happening later this morning, but we've regained control of some of our films that were with distributors and are distributing them ourselves. And so we have a movie out now called Far Too Far from 2014 that is just skyrocketing, like in the UK, for example. But it's available here on Tubi and Amazon and Fandango and Apple TV. So if you get a chance, watch that one. And then my previous film before Rotten Apple is called The Post. Not the Meryl Streep, Tom Hanks Post, but a different one, which is a really neat, solid revenge thriller. And you can find that as well. So yeah, that's what I would do, is just plug people to go watch those movies and see what they think.
All right. Yeah. So Justin.
Yeah, man.
Thank you very much for coming.
Appreciate
It's
it.
been a pleasure.
Thanks, Corey.
And good luck on the golf game.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
Have a good one.
All right.
All right.